here today talking with James Fuchs about his book, Ponderings of My Heart, Mary, the Mother of Yeshua. James, thank you so much for taking time to join us today.
Well, thank you very much.
Why don't you just start by telling us a little bit about your book, Ponderings of My Heart?
Well, Mary is a very unique woman in the Christian faith. On one end of the spectrum, she is most highly honored and respected, some making her almost a deity along with Christ. On the other end of the spectrum, she is almost unknown, except to be the physical mother of Christ when he came to earth. I wanted to portray her as she was, the mother of our Lord and a young Jewish woman, being at neither end of the two spectrums just mentioned.
So talk through kind of the process. You've told us a little bit about the book. What was the process like for you in writing this book? Was it something you planned, or was it more of over a process? You just found yourself writing a book. How did this kind of work out for you?
It was totally unplanned. What occurred is the congregation that my wife and I belonged to had an individual that for several years wrote an Advent devotional. In 2009, a day and a half before the devotional was due, he became sick and was unable to complete the task. My wife was at church when this information was received, and when the question was asked, "What are we going to do?" my wife answered, "James will write it." When she got home and told me what occurred, I could only answer, "What?" I then calmly went for a walk, and it quickly became clear to me that I was to write this devotional. And the thought came to my mind, what would Mary be thinking? I returned home and began to write that afternoon and evening, and the devotional was completed by the end of the next day on time. As stated earlier, Mary is a unique woman and needs to be correctly honored and be made a real woman with all kinds of feelings and emotions in her life. Hopefully, in some way, I have partly succeeded in this endeavor. About 5 years ago, I was compelled to look at it again. And upon revisiting it, I revised it and added the days after Christmas to Epiphany. I continued to work on it and then sought publication as I felt I was called to do so.
So it began as almost happenstance or accident, and of course a God moment, but not knowing, and your wife volunteering, and here you are years later, you're a published author talking about it. Did you ever think that would happen?
No. No, I did not. And when I was told when I submitted my document, I would hear in about a week and a half. 3 days later, I heard, "We're going to publish it." I about fell off my chair.
So what was it like, James? Just one last question on that. What was it like for you? I mean, you had the devotional, but when that first time you got to hold the actual physical copy of the book in your hand, what was that like for you? Was it an exciting moment, a kind of a surreal moment?
It was humbling, first of all. It truly was humbling, because when I look at it, everything came together quickly and better than I ever thought it would. From the editing that was done to the cover design, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It just came together. And the more I thought about it, though this book was written for the traditional Advent season and Christmas to Epiphany, this devotional can be used at any time of the year. I believe this is true because Christ is present with us today, and we're grateful for that blessing. However, in reality, we are in the second Advent season as we wait for Christ's triumphant return on the day of our resurrection. at the end of all time as we know it. And when you put all of that together and put it under the umbrella of the project that I completed, it has been very close to my heart because it's meant to honor my parents and my Jewish heritage.
That's great. Well, James's book, Ponderings of My Heart, as we've been talking about, his devotional book, it's available online through Amazon, through Barnes and Noble. You can get it both as paperback or an ebook. That meaning if you want to read it on a device, you can get it even through the Books app on iTunes. James, I want to give you one last chance. Anything else you want to share before we end our conversation today about your book?
I just hope that the people who do purchase this book, it deepens their faith as they continue their journey in life. And if it could lead another person to Christ, that would be more than I ever dreamed would occur.
Well, James, thank you for taking time for sharing some of your thoughts, what started as a devotional where you were voluntold that you were going to write the devotional. Now here years later sharing and it becoming a published book that others can be blessed by. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. God's blessings and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Bye now.